Hello again, and welcome to another Retro PC refurb. Today we have a small form factor Compaq Evo. Now, this was given to me by Richard, who got in touch with me through this channel, saying he had some old IDE hard drives and do I want them. So last week I went to his to collect the hard drives, and he also gave me this little Compaq, saying he had tried to install Windows 98, but the computer just freezes during installation. I did some Googling, and others have posted they have had some success with similar models by updating the BIOS, and it seemed a different BIOS yielded different results. I tried all the different BIOSes I could find, but as you will see later, none of these worked. I also had trouble with the onboard sound. It just wouldn't detect a driver. This may rectify itself with an install of XP, but never having used Windows 2000, I thought I'd go with this instead. I have just used a small plug-in USB sound card for the sound.
Okay, right, so here we have a Compaq Evo. I don't actually know the model number, but it comes up as one like this is a 510. It's a bizarre little machine. You can have it this way or this way. It's got two USBs at the front there, a DVD-ROM. On the back here we've got the power input, VGA out, 4 more USBs, Ethernet cable, and obviously the sound jacks there. To get into this thing, which I've already done, is you push these tags, which releases it, and then you slide the cover off. Okay, so we've got the CPU fan there. Okay, so, and there's the CPU underneath there. So the heatsink there, CPU, 4 screws. When I did pull this apart, obviously I've never seen one of these before. I tried to get this through this hole, but that doesn't work. Okay, so power supply, it's a little mini one, thin mini one there. To get the hard drive out, and then you just lever a bit of pressure on here. As you can see, it slides up. And you can take these off, you can slide it right up and it hinges out and you can pull it out. And the hard drive is in a caddy there, this plastic caddy, so you take the hard drive out, put a new one in if you need to, or bigger one, and then slide it back in. So you hinge it in and then flip it up and slide it down. The SATA cable, the ribbon IDE cable's here, which is only a short one which just mounts there. And there's one 4-pin power. That's it on the whole system. Okay, to actually get to the motherboard, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. So you undo these screws, take out the power jack there, and then you wiggle this out, because obviously the IO shield, everything's poking through the IO shield at the back here. So you lift this up and wiggle it out, and then you can work on the motherboard, taking the CPU out, taking the heatsink off, and so forth. you can actually get to the RAM by sliding the hard drive out or up, and then the RAM slots are there, which I am actually going to put, it's got 512 in at the moment. It did have two 256s in there, but as I will go through on the video, I tried to put 98 on here, I tried to put ME on here, and I was unsuccessful, so I changed the RAM out, obviously, to eliminate that. So I'm actually going to put another stick of RAM in there. If I've got one, I'll see what I've got left. So okay, to access the RAM, and that's simple as that, and now you can get in there. And I'll just look to see what I actually have. Right, so what I have found is then there's actually the same make, but one's 266 and one's 400. So it's PC 2100 and PC should be 3200. And I don't know what I've put in here, so hopefully it might match one of these. Okay, so that's unsure. Right, so what I'll do, I'll put these in anyway. So I'll give it 1.5 gigs of RAM, which might give it a fighting chance. These sticks are the same make, but as I say, they're different frequencies, but it should clock down to the lowest, which was 266. Hopefully this will boot with this RAM in. Seems to be booting fine. Okay, so right, I have taken this out now because before, when it was unplugged, it was fine. But after I just unplugged it and turned it back on, it said that the Cosmos or the CMOS needed was reset. So that would assume the battery is gone. And so is my test meter. Right, so changing my test meter to volts. I'll put a new one in anyway. So that's reading 3 volts. Ah, okay. So that was reading 0.2 volts, and if you look at it, it actually does look a little bit bulged. So that might have been in there a few good years. Yes, that's a 3 volt, but it was reading 0.24 volts. So definitely no charge left in that. So I did have this out and cleaned it all up previously, but as you could see, I've just taken it out again. So there we are, back together. Okay, so that's the power for the fan. Then we just need to put the hard drive back, the ribbon cable back first, and then the hard drive. Nothing on this is easy, all a little bit fiddly. And then the hard drive. So there's like a little lugs there. And what you're supposed to do is get this in the right way. You'll find it works better. Okay, I'm just going to boot this up quickly just to make sure everything's fine before I put the casing back on. And I'll just set the time again in the BIOS, and then I'll take the power lead out and see whether it keeps its time. Okay, so power lead out and then switch on just to drain the power. Back in again. And the times has stayed the same, so we haven't lost anything. Okay, so I'll put the case back on now. Right, okay, so I'm just giving this a clean. It has lots of marks on it, a few scratches, but it is 20 or so years old. What I do use, this was screen cleaning spray from B&M, but it's now Windoline, or their somebody's equivalent of Windoline glass cleaner. A lot of these marks are not coming out. I think that actually scratches through the paint. I'm sure it's had a monitor sat on top of here at some point. The insides actually weren't that dirty. I don't know whether Richard, who I got this off, had actually opened it up and cleaned it inside himself, but there was very, very little dust, a little bit on the actual CPU fan, and a couple of little bits here and there in the corners, but apart from that there was no lint or fluff anywhere, like it had been cleaned, or at least cleaned, in the last 20 years. I do have to say this has got a lot of vents. But it is quite compact and small, so I would assume it needs a lot of airflow, which it does have.
So this is what happens when I try to install Windows 98 or Windows ME. It gets stuck at loading the CD-ROM driver, or if I attach a completely new hard drive, it will go through the initial format, disk check and checking the device for suitability, and sometimes start to install, but will always freeze before the restart. Now, there may be a BIOS that will work with this, or this may be one of those that you can never get to work on 98. XP went on like a treat with no problems whatsoever, but I opted for 2000 as these machines did ship with it and I have never used it before.